Good morning and welcome to Talks on Tuesday. Forgive my voice. I'm getting over a flu, which I picked up somewhere on my travels. But I do sound like, I guess I sound like Marlena Dietrich, and that's not a bad thing. Uh, so, welcome to Talks on Tuesday, where we meet every Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time to talk about a variety of metaphysical, paranormal, spiritual, and metaphysical issues and ideas. And today we're talking angels. It's that season, angels we have heard on high. Um, all kinds of angel stories around Christmas, but I've I've always been fascinated by angels, and from the time I was a little girl, I was really thrilled to find out that I had a guardian angel, my own guardian angel, and so I've always been kind of aware of the idea. And I've always been a little bit jealous of people who have angel encounters. There's a lady named Laura Byrne, Byrne, who's written several books on her whole life among angels. She's seen them since she was a little girl. And it's really interesting. But I did a little reading on them. And I was raised Catholic, and I think several other people here were. And we were taught that there are like levels of power in angels. There are angels, archangels, principalities, powers, dominions, seraphim, thrones, and cherubim. Um, and they all have different jobs. The chief job we see if we read the Christian Bible is angels as messengers. But it seems like there are also kind of rescue angels. You hear story about people who are pulled out of traffic just in time, where they missed their plane and it turns out it crashed or whatever. And some of these are attributed to angels. Um, but I'm really curious what you guys know and think and speculate about angels. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'll just say a little something. Hi, everybody. Um, so I took out a book that I've had for a very long time called The Angels Within Us, and I read the first page. That was it. But it also says there's like 26 angels. Well, who knows about that? But like like Mary said, they all have a different job to do. Um, but what the first page said about angels within us, that the angels, it's not so much that it's in us, but it's their energy that is in us, angel energy. That's how they are in us. But a lot of times, because the energy that they have that is going to help our lives be better is blocked by our fear and our upsets and uh, unhappiness or joyless life or what all those things. And so anyway, the book is about how to find out how to kind of get rid of that and release that. But I thought that was interesting. I love the thought of having an angel. That I don't know, there's just something about that that just makes me feel so good, and it's a comfort. And I mostly talk to my angel guides when I want a good parking place. And but they always give me one. So, you know, but I haven't had any experiences, like seeing an angel or anything. It's a comfort to think that they're there.
Cecilia, good to see you.
Hi, great to see you. Good to see all of you. Um,
Thanks.
they're there with you every single day, every moment, anytime you're thinking of anything or wanting anything or desiring anything or needing any help, whatever, they're there. I have had encounters with angels many, many years, for many, many years. And I didn't realize the structure or the how to, until a friend of mine, she used my hairdresser years ago, and she and I would have amazing conversations. And she introduced me to this book, and I'm going to put it in the chat. And it's called Ask Your Angels, and it's a fantastic book. Just it's basically a meditation guide, basically, but it focuses on connecting with your angels. And as soon as I started doing any of the work in that book, it's just everything just started just showing up so quickly and easily and seamlessly. And it was just amazing the answers I was getting. And everybody has contact with them. And don't you think that you're special and you don't have any contact, because you do. You're just like Julie was saying, you're blocking it because you're doubting it. And if you don't block it, if you just accept that it's happening, you get it. It's so much easier. So stop blocking, stop denying. It's happening, it's real, and you've got it. Everybody does. So that's what I have to say.
Love the title of that book, Ask Your Angels.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've heard about angels is that you have to ask. It's kind of like that non-interference agreement they have on Star Trek, where you can't interfere in a civilization without permission.
Mhm.
But you have to call out to them, say, hey, I need help with this. Come to me. I don't know what to do. Guide me. The one thing I have heard is that the guardian angels will interfere if you're about to be in danger and it's not your time to go. So they will get you out of that situation somehow.
I will add, they will offer. They don't interfere. You get to choose if you want to accept the advice or not. And that has happened to me on a couple of occasions. So
can you tell us a story? We want stories.
yeah. Okay. Years ago, I was um, coming home from a party. I was with my boyfriend, and I was driving, and um, okay, we had stopped off because we had been at a party, and it was about 1:30 in the morning. And what's open at 1:30 in the morning? Jack in the Box. They have a drive-through, so we went to Jack in the Box drive-through, and um, we get in line. I place the order through the intercom. We drive up to the window. I lower my window. I give him the money. I bring my hand back in, and there's a gun that's following me. And it says, "Get out of the car. We're taking it." And all of a sudden, there are people on both sides of the car. There's people at the window. There's all kinds of things happening in this one moment. And all I see is this person in the window with the gun at my face. And I hear, "Roll up the window." It was just calm. It was no excitement. It was just roll up the window. And it was so old long ago. That was a day when I didn't have a manual window. I didn't have a power window. I had to roll up. So I'm like, I'm rolling up the window, and there's this gun that's going up, up, up. And he had already entered my car. He was trying to get the keys out of my car. Couldn't do it because when I bought this car, I thought this was the strangest thing that they could ever add to a car. But in order to get your keys out of the car, you had to push a button underneath to get the keys out. And I thought that's a really silly thing to put in a car. Why would you need a button to get your keys out? Well, it turns out that's why. So, anyways, I heard roll up the window, and then I heard I got to the top, but his arm was still in my window, and he said, "Not all the way." And so I rolled it down a little bit. And as soon as I rolled it down a little bit, boom, the gun went off, and glass is flying everywhere. And he pulls himself out of the car. And I go immediately to go to the key, and the key ring was gone. The only thing that was left in the key ring was the key in the ignition, because he couldn't get it out because he didn't know to push the button. So I turned the car on, and I zoomed out of there, and I turned around, and we were going down the street. And my boyfriend said, "Let's just go home." It's like, as soon as he said that, it kicked me into gear. It's like going, "No, we have to go back." the police are coming. And so I turned around and I'm coming back up the street where we just left. And all of a sudden, uh, this car is driving out, speeding out. I knew it was them. And it was like, and they go down the street and I'm like, that's them. And so I chase them basically because I want to get the license plate. And they make this curve down um this one driveway, and I follow them, and it's a dead end alley. It's like, oh, like okay. And so they went straight, and I came in behind them, but I curved off to the left, and that gave them room to pull out and leave. I was like, okay, but I got the license plate, so I ran back and we went to the Jack in the Box, and by that time the police were there because they were robbed and they were all kinds of things. All things happened. So um, I get to the Jack in the Box and I show them what happened, and they take my statement. They take my boyfriend's statement, and and as soon as I had given all the information, as soon as I didn't need to be on and present, as like, you got it, and they're searching my car, they're looking for the bullet, and then anyways, I just crumbled and I just broke down and cried. But I was fine and solid and clear until I didn't need to be anymore. And then I was like, anyways, but it was a really big deal. But I just remember the voice inside said, roll up the window, not all the way. And it was like, ooh, it wasn't forcing me. It wasn't excited. It wasn't do it now. It was calm. And I could take the information or not take it. It's entirely up to you what you want to do with it. It's like, I'm going to offer this to you. Roll up the window, not all the way. And that was it. It was like, okay, okay. And anyways, lots more to the story, but in any ways, um, because I got the license, they were able to find him, and did go to jail. And so that was that. But that was my story. So
That's a good
letting you
story.
know.
Good story.
Good
Yeah.
story.
But I was guided and I wasn't forced. I was offered the opportunity to choose.
Right. And how many times have we all gotten that feeling like, I don't need to go there. I'm going to go home. Yeah, Jules.
Oh, I had a feeling like that one time. I was traveling alone. I just went up north and I stopped and can't remember where, up north on the way to like San Francisco or to Carmel. And I was at a restaurant, at this little restaurant, a casual place, and I was eating, and this guy started talking to me. And he kept trying to get me. He wanted to go on the beach and take a walk. And boy, my bells and whistles and red flashing lights were going off like crazy. No, you don't want to go with this guy. I mean, it was so strong, and of course I didn't, but I kept looking over my shoulder until I got into my hotel room and everything. But it was a really, really strong feeling. I didn't have anybody saying, I don't remember having a voice in my head or anything, but it was like an intuition or instinct, whatever you want to call it. It was very, very strong and smart, I think,
Like that knowing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was just like, no, that sounded really scary to me. I mean, he was so persistent, and he was, the vibe,
Yeah.
was not good. He told me a bunch of stuff about himself, which I didn't think was true. I mean, just really, uh, I was old enough at that point and smart enough to know that that was not a good idea. So that's my story there.
Doreen, I see your hand is up.
Yeah. Wow, this is so great. I love hearing all this. Um, Mostly because what came to me right away and has been with me, and I'm so glad I listened to everybody speak, is I I kind of thought angels were stupid and dorky. like kind of when I was younger, and I didn't understand them, didn't identify with it. Even during Christmas, I was never drawn to the angel ornaments or any of that stuff. And it wasn't because anybody ever said anything. It was just the energy, I think, in my family and my household to specifically for me to shut that component of myself off and think it's stupid and to not think of it. And but for me, that component is so strong, it didn't work. And it's always been with me. And it would never be closed off, even though I kind of didn't really welcome it in. And that said, I think this has been said by a couple of us already today, that the important part, or for me, the takeaway is that the angelic is part of all of us. And maybe it's on a scale or a spectrum, but it's something that we all have in us. And it isn't something that's other outside of us.
Right.
And I'm just been accepting that more and more each day. And I'm very glad that I have.
Yeah. And even though we may not be angels ourselves, we can act as angels to others.
Mhm.
We can be that voice, use our intuition when we say to a friend, you might
Mhm.
want to think about that.
Mm.
Or here, take mine, or whatever it is. Yeah, Jules. Oh, and too.
I just wanted to say that part of the angel energy that I'm thinking that we all have in us, that is when we allow our intuition or instinct to help us to make those decisions. You know, that's that energy that we allow. That's it.
I think I saw Anka and then Gino. Can you unmute Anka? Yeah.
Hi. I think I saw an angel of somebody because I had bad intention to that person in that moment, bad intentions, and I saw, and was like a man, a very tall man, and when I asked who is with her, she doesn't knew to answer because it was just a second. I watched her and he disappeared. Something like this.
Mm.
Just dropped in for a visit.
Mm.
Yeah. Gino.
Yeah, I have never felt anything to investigate angels or do any of that. And then about a year ago, things started to change in my life to the point where I started to embrace all kinds of other new things that I hadn't, or revisiting other things too, more on the metaphysical and the ethereal and all that side. And so, in the midst of all that, I mean, I was engaging a lot, and I am still, but I've slowed it down just a little to focus more. And I did buy a book. I saw a psychic. She had a shop and she had some books in there. And one of the books was Connecting with Angels Made Easy, How to See, Hear, and Feel Your Angels.
Mm.
So I said, okay, I'm trying everything else. Let me see what it is, right? So I did get the book and I read a lot of it, but I think my mind was so dispersed that I wasn't taking it in like super specifically what they were trying to tell me. And I can see now that I need to read the book again. And it's not a long book, it's easy to read it and all of that. And yeah, so I just wanted to read the quote in part one that says, "What are angels? The angels are the dispensers and administrators of the divine beneficence towards us. They regard our safety, undertake our defense, direct our ways, and exercise a constant solicitude that no evil befall us." By John Calvin, French theologian.
Mm.
Thought that was a cool quote
Mm.
from another era.
Yeah.
Although you probably have noticed I speak that way all the time anyway, but
You do.
But anyway, I don't know if you can see the book. It never
Yeah.
seems to show. Here it
Yeah.
is.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, this is the book. So, maybe as a result of this conversation, I'll start reading this book again. I have like, I don't know, 8 books right now that I'm behind on, but
Yeah.
it's all affiliated with what I'm doing right now in life, and everything is so fascinating to me. So, anyway, that's my story.
Good story.
Thank you.
Let's go Renee and then Barbie.
Okay, boy, I've heard so many things already that are like ringing all the bells, but I really didn't have any belief in angels at all until I started to listen to Kyle Gray, who is one of Hay House's, you could call him an angel whisperer. He's written about 10 or so books, and he began his journey studying the angelic realm when he was just a teenager, and he was very connected in ways that he never understood, but he just followed that pathway for the rest of his life, essentially. And he's very brilliant. And believe it or not, every day I wake up, every morning and every night when I go to bed, I have a series of angel prayers, which I repeat out loud while I'm playing with the frequencies, which I never, if you talk about transformation, it comes in very small steps and stages. And, some of the prayers go as follows. Thank you, angels. I now surrender the situation to you, knowing that my highest good is forever unfolding. Thank you for placing your healing hands upon the situation and everyone involved. I now release the outcome, knowing that my highest good is always unfolding. Things like that. And it lets me just to know that I am not alone, because Miss Very Independent One, who has been that way since I was 17 or 18 years old when I left my family's home, had to learn how to cope and navigate through life without a lot of guidance and without a lot of support. And I did exceptionally well in many ways, shapes, and forms. And I'm very proud of who I've become through all those challenges that were thrown on those curveballs and all the rest of that. But I kind of, dug my nails in deep when something was about to unfold that I didn't expect, and I had to figure it out. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't ask any angels. I didn't know how to do that. But now I have learned that it feels so good to say, okay, I'm not sure what is the next step, what is the next right action. And just these small little steps and stages and questions that I ask are a link. And I can honestly tell you, when I went to the hospital to have a biopsy a year ago, I went to the bathroom before the doctor came in and I met her. I'd never met her before. And I took a look in my face in the mirror and I thought, who is that looking through your eyes right now? Because it ain't you. That is not you. There is some presence here with you that is so powerful and so supporting you through this whole journey. It's not you. So know that you are being heard and know that you are being seen and know that you are being loved through every step and stage of this process, because you are. And I so needed that. And I always need it, but it's all good. It's really important to know that you can ask for help. So
Wow. Thank you. Okay, we had Barb, then Gino, then Chelsea.
I think I'll skip just because I know we're running out of time, and so I'll just let the others talk.
Okay, Gino.
Actually, Chelsea, you first, because I've already spoken.
Okay. Um, so coming into this conversation, I would say the word angel for me is a very vague, non-concrete word for how I've kind of viewed things. But it's been interesting hearing all the stories here today and kind of absorbing. And then, I'm sitting here, I've got my two girl dogs, one on each side, and my little girl Yuma looked up at me, and I kind of got the feeling that, and it kind of, she kind of, like said, hey, hey, I'm here. I'm that I'm that little angel in the dog suit. And then it reminded me also of how we look at sometimes young children and think, oh, you sweet little angel. And so I kind of, I was going to type it into the chat, but then I thought I'll just speak it out loud. It just, like, my knowingness inside is just kind of saying something unique about angels is they could be here on earth or not in physical form, but they slightly have their foot in the door of the physical story that we're going through, where they care a little bit or like to help you tweak it, the circumstances that's happening in our lives, the movie that's playing. There's just slightly involved in that narrative and helping in a way, whereas a lot of maybe other entities that we share energetically with are kind of completely outside the even giving even giving caring to our personal narrative. And so I just kind of got the feeling that if I could have a new definition of what angels might be, it's just they do kind of help us in small little ways. And so they maybe take a little, they hold a little niche where they help us with our personal narrative story movie, and but yet they are not of the movie. You know what I mean? Like a new definition that kind of came to me. So
Right. Reminds me of when I'm writing fiction and I get stuck, so I bring in a secondary character.
mm-hmm.
Bring in somebody who's going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Actually, Mary, my question that I have is going to take too much time, and I know we've reached the end of our time, so I'm good with not, doing this.
Just throw it out there.
Well, it was mostly for Cecilia, and I thought it might help me understand better. Cecilia, when you had that incident, had you already felt in tune with angels? Had you learned about angels so that you could attribute what happened, that voice, to angels? Or maybe it happened later that you assessed it and attributed it because you knew more about angels. I'm not sure how that happened for you.
I was raised Catholic and I have had encounters with all kinds of spiritual beings all my life. However, I did not pick up the book Ask Your Angels until after that incident happened. But once I did have that in my life and it was much stronger and more solid, I knew that's what was happening. And I've always had a connection with angels and other spiritual beings.
That's
So
beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you all. Let's go forward and embrace our angels and be the angel that we all know we can be. We'll see you next week. And I love you all. This is such a great day, such a great conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.